हरे कृष्णा।
जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी
जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय योगी वरदारी Hare Krishna devotees, thank you all for coming on Sunday. Of course, Sunday is an auspicious day for ISKCON devotees because that's the day we all come together and we talk about Krishna, because all the other days we are on the material platform and we might think about Krishna maybe in the morning, right? But at least Sunday we have many hours. Other days we might have like half an hour or 45 minutes. We just go and pay our obeisance to the deities in the morning, and then evening we just go light the lamp. But then at least on Sunday we get maybe from 5 to 7:30 or 5 to 7, 2 hours. 2 hours we get to talk about Krishna and be in association of devotees, right? That's one of the important rules or what is given by Srila Prabhupada, right? Association of devotees, and that helps us to purify our mind, which we're going to be talking about today. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshuro Unmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakam Tam Cha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasta Chadeshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees. So today we are going to be talking about Dhyana Yoga, chapter 6 and text 36. So in my book it's different number. If somebody
289 from yellow.
289 on your yellow binder. I will repeat the Sanskrit verse 3 times, and then after that I will request two Matajis and two Prabhus to try to recite the sloka. Asamyatatmana yogo
Asamyatatmana yogo
Dushprapa iti me matihi
Dushprapa iti me matihi
Vashyatmana tu yatatha
Vashyatmana tu yatatha
Shakyo avaptum upayatah
Shakyo avaptum upayatah
Asamyatatmana yogo
Asamyatatmana yogo
Dushprapa iti me matihi
Dushprapa iti me matihi
Vashyatmana tu yatatha
Vashyatmana tu yatatha
Shakyo avaptum upayatah
Shakyo avaptum upayatah
Asamyatatmana yogo
Asamyatatmana yogo
Dushprapa iti me matihi
Dushprapa iti me matihi
Vashyatmana tu yatata
Vashyatmana tu yatatha
Shakyo avaptum upayatah
Shakyo avaptum upayatah
Mataji is going to go.
असंयतात्मना योगो
असंयतात्मना योगो
दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः
दुष्प्राप
इति मे मतिः
अस्यात्मना तु यतथा
वश्यात्मना तु यतता
शक्यो अवाप्तुम् उपायतः
शक्यो अवाप्तुम् उपायतः. One more Mataji.
असंयत आत्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो अवाप्तुम् उपायतः.
Thank you Mataji. Prabhu speak.
असंयत्मना योगो
असंयतात्मना योगो
दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः
दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः
वश्यात्मना तु यतता
वश्यात्मना तु यतता
शक्यो वपामुपायतः
शक्यो अवाप्तुम् उपायतः.
One moment, Prabhu please.
असम्यात्मना योगो
असंयतात्मना योगो
दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः
दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः
वास्यात्मना तु यतथा
वश्यात्मना तु यतता
शक्यो अवाप्तुम् उपायतः.
शक्यो अवाप्तुम् उपायतः. Thank you Mataji and Prabhu. Translation. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Again, I'm going to read the translation again. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to discharge the mind from material engagements can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the results of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna consciousness. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the results of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. I'm going to try what I understand from this shloka. But before that, I was listening to a lecture, and one of the lecturers, he was talking about the importance of Bhagavad Gita, right? I thought that is on and off we need to understand why Bhagavad Gita is important. And for that, Gita Mahatmya, most of the devotees might know, but this is a poem by Bhagavan Shankaracharya. He has written this Gita Mahatmya. That is the importance of Gita. Why is Gita important, right? So on my page number it is 33. don't know. Yeah, it's probably
It's on,
it's introduction. If you go to
yeah, drag and
introduction,
drop
it's the
introduction.
last.
It's on page 28.
Mine it's 33, so 28, page 28. So there, Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, he is saying, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani, Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. So he is saying, of all the Shastras, right? There are so many Shastras, so many Upanishads. We can't read all those things. But he is saying, of all the Upanishads, he is saying, Devaki Putra Geetam, the Gita which is written by Devaki Putra is Krishna, right? The one which is sung by Krishna is the topmost song. And then Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, of all the Devas, of all the gods, Krishna is the supreme. Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Ani, of all the mantras, there are so many mantras we know about, but the best mantra is Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Karmapi ekam tasya devasya seva. So, of all the activities we are supposed to perform, service to Krishna is the topmost, he is saying. Okay, so from there we go to Malini Mochanam Pumsam Jalasnanam Dine Dine Sakrat Gita Matsi Snanam Samsara Mananashanam. So, for cleaning our body, we always take bath every day in the morning, right? Just to clean up our body. But to clean up our mind, he is saying, read Bhagavad Gita. Just reading the verses of Bhagavad Gita will cleanse our mind, our consciousness become pure, which is what is needed so that we can go back to Krishna or be at the service of him, right? Going back to Krishna is not what ISKCON devotees try for. They want to be always at the service of Krishna, which is what he loves. He loves people who are doing service to him and his devotees. So that's what they are saying. Reading the verses of Bhagavad Gita will cleanse our mind and our consciousness. And another important one is Sarvopanishato Ghavo Dokta Gopala Nandana Partho Vatsa Suthir Bhokta Duktam Gita Amritam Mahat. So Sarvopanishato Gavo, from all the Upanishads, so all the Upanishads, Dokta Gopala Nandana. Krishna is the Gopala. Gopala is a person who is protecting the cow as well as protecting the controlling the senses, right? So he's saying Gopala is the one who is from the Upanishads. He is taking all what is important for us, right? Whichever is important for us, he is as a Gopala. He is getting all the important verses, which is the Bhagavad Gita, and he is giving to us Partho Vatsa Shrutil Bhokta. So who is the calf? The calf is Arjuna, right? So he is taking the verses and he is giving it to Arjuna, who is the calf, right? And from Arjuna we all are getting that nectar. That is what Duktam Gita Amritam Mahat. So we are getting that nectar from Krishna, who is taken from all the Upanishads. He is taking and he is giving this Bhagavad Gita to us, which is the essence of everything in the Vedas. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is very important. And so we are coming to 6.36. So each and every verse in Bhagavad Gita is very important. And coming to text 36, we have already seen in text 33 and 34, what is Arjuna saying. So we are reading about Dhyana Yoga, and we have seen what are the things we have to do in Dhyana Yoga, going and sitting in a kusha grass, we have to sit in a particular level, we have to look at our tip of our nose, which is all difficult in this age of Kali, right? So he's saying, you are giving us so many things which is impractical for us in this age of Kali. And controlling the mind is also very difficult. See, if I'm going to sit in a forest and doing it, my mind is not controlled at all. It can't be controlled at all. It's going to be going all over the places. We cannot control. So he's asking, give me the practical way which we can do. That's the question he's asking. And Krishna says in text 35, last week, we heard from Pitambar Das Prabhu that he was talking about the two important instruments, right? Two important instruments that is needed to control our mind, and that is, can somebody remember the two important? Right? Thank you. Yes, detachment and practice. These are the two instruments by which we can control our mind, right? So with that we are going to the next. So these two are connected. The previous one, where detachment and practice is the only way we can control our mind, and then the next one is saying, for one whose mind is unbridled means uncontrolled. So a person whose mind is uncontrolled, it is very difficult for us to understand Krishna, right? Only when your mind is controlled, we will understand who is Krishna, how is our relationship with Krishna, what is the part, what are we with Krishna. Like the main important things is we are part and parcel of Krishna, right? That we will not be able to understand. We will not understand that we should get rid of all the dualities, right? We have dualities, happiness, distress, joy, all different types of dualities. We will not understand that until we have a controlled mind. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. So that's the appropriate means is what we saw in the previous thing. That's by practice and by detachment. So those are the two things we saw, which is what we need to practice. So I'm going to give some examples of people who were able to control their mind and who were not able to control their mind. So from the epic Ramayana, we all know that we have Dasharatha, who is the father of Rama, and the other one is Ravana, so Dashamukha. So Dashamukha means we all know that he had 10 heads. And Dasharatha is a person who, does anybody know the meaning of Dasharatha?
Okay. Like at the same time in 10 directions you can fight, right?
Sorry? Dasharatha is what Prabhu said is he could go in chariot all the 10 directions. The directions are east, west, south, north, east, west, northwest, then southeast and southwest, and up and down. So all the 10 directions he could he can use his chariot and fight. One is that. And the other one is he could control his 10 senses, the knowledge acquiring senses and the, what's the other one? Knowledge,
Karmendriya, the working senses.
And the knowledge acquiring senses. So that is what he could do. That's why he was his mind was controlled. Whereas, and he also, because he had a controlled mind, and again, Ratha also means senses. That's what I said. Ratha is also another meaning of senses, where he could control his senses. And the other thing is he could fight 10 chariots at a time. That was also another way, another explanation that was given about Dasharatha. And because he had a control mind, he was ruling a country called Ayodhya. Yuddha means fight, Ayodhya means a place where war doesn't take place. So that's how peaceful the country was, because of a king who had a controlled mind. So when it comes to Ravana, there was no control at all, right? He could control the outside, not his mind. He was controlling the kingdom. He was controlling the people. He was even controlling his opulences were so much that even Indra's heaven was at shame. So that's how much opulences he had, right? And they say that Lanka is a city of gold. I've just heard that Lanka is a city. So he had everything, right? But his mind was not controlled at all. What happened? Just because of his lusty desire, he had a lusty desire towards Mother Sita, and because of that, what did he lose? He lost his brothers, he lost his kingdom, right? And then he was even killed. But whereas Dasharatha, because he had a control mind, Lord Rama itself became his son, right? So when our mind is not controlled, we are going to lose everything in this world. So to control our mind again, we have to do this practice and detachment. So what is the practice we have to do? What do you mean by practice? Can somebody give me an example?
Actually, getting detached from material affairs and getting attached to the Supreme.
Yes.
This service.
Yes. So practicing, as Mataji gave a very good answer, right? That detach from our material desires and attaching ourselves to the Supreme activities, Supreme Lord's activities, anything to do with Krishna, right? But that practice is very difficult, right? So how can we do that practice? Whatever you're trying to do, you have to see whether that work is it going to be liked by Krishna? Am I going to be getting benefit for the love of Krishna? Am I going to be close to Krishna? Is this work going to help me? So that practice, any work you're doing, you have to get into the practice of thinking, is this work going to benefit me? Is this work going to help me to move in my spiritual endeavor? Only then, what will happen, when you practice that, slowly you will get detached from those which you're not supposed to do, right? For example, you're watching TV, right? You're watching TV. Some people watch TV. So when you're watching TV, your mind is going to say, oh, you know what, I have free time, let me watch some TV. So you go and sit and watch. But consciously, you have to bring that practice of, why am I watching TV? Why don't I just go and read Bhagavad Gita or listen to a lecture, right? So you have to bring that practice, cultivate that practice in you, so that you're forcing your mind, because the mind is always going to be ruling you. In this material world, mind is always higher than your intelligence. So you have to control the mind, right? Not the mind controlling it. Unfortunately, mind is the one which is controlling us most of the time. So consciously you have to bring to the practice of, whatever you're doing, is it going to benefit me for my eternal happiness? Your eternal happiness is only when you serve Krishna. Nowhere else you will get happiness. You may watch the TV for some time. After it's gone, you wasted that hour. That hour is not going to come back at all. But at the same time, if you had listened to a lecture Krishna will, you will give that, he will give you that happiness, he will give you that bliss. You will see that change in you when you are listening to lectures. I know it's very difficult sometimes. Sometimes your mind is getting bored of listening to lectures. Okay, let me not listen to lectures, let me listen to kirtans, right? You can do that, or do some service. You can do so many services at the temple, right? Mandir is to a place where it is a place which gives, like how you go to the hospital and you get treatment for your body. Mandir is a place which gives treatment to your mind, right? So go to the temple and do services over there, which helps you to control your mind. You're not wasting your time there, right? Instead of wasting your time to go have a party with somebody, sitting and chatting with, gossiping something, that should be channelized in such a way which will help you have a pure consciousness, which will purify your mind. So some of the examples that I know most of you would have heard about it is mainly the senses, right? The senses are the one which is driving us away from, or which is helping the mind to control us, right? So, so for example, you want ice cream, right? The mind is saying you want ice cream. You might be having diabetic. The mind is saying, oh, let's go and have ice cream, right? But you have to try that the intelligence have to be over your mind. The intelligence must say, no. If I eat that ice cream, my sugar is going to go up and I'm going to have a problem, right? So always that mind, you have to watch your mind, right? If you watch your mind, then you can easily conquer your mind, and your intelligence will overtake your mind. One of the example given by Chaitanya Prabhu is Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He gave a very good example that one father is driving with a son in a car, right? And the car, and when the son is seeing a pizza place, he said, Dad, look, there's a pizza shop, let's go there. And then after, the father is listening and he's just driving. Dad, oh my God, that is an ice cream shop, can we have ice cream? So the son is going on and on and on with everything he sees, right? That's what our mind is doing. Our mind is seeing everything which is outside, and it's telling the soul. So the driver, the father is the soul. It's telling the soul, oh, go to this place, go to that place, go get that. But the driver or the father, if he listens to the son, he could go and hit somewhere and there could be an accident, right? But what is he doing? He is watching his son, but he is not listening to what he says, or he is not abiding with what the son says. Oh, my son is asking something, let me stop the car and go. He's not doing that, he's just driving. That's how we have to be. We have to just watch what the mind is saying. So the father has to just watch what the son is saying and just drive, right? Instead, if you listen to the son, and then it's going to give you a problem. So same way Chaitanya Prabhu is saying that the intelligence or the soul has to be watching what the mind is doing and only abide to those things that is required for our spiritual upliftment, not to everything what the mind says. That's how he's saying you have to always watch what the mind is saying and not abide by what the mind says. So that's one way of controlling our mind. So everything your mind says, just again see whether it's going to help you in your spiritual endeavor, and only if it does, abide by that, right? So most of our minds, I have some examples of which I heard again from lectures. Whatever I'm trying to say is what I heard from my authoritative lecturers. So I'm just trying to repeat it so that it cleansifies me too, right? So we have heard about, I'm talking about some of the animals, right? The fishes, what happens, fisherman, he just goes and he puts his fishing rod, and the fish is happy. He's saying, oh my god, I got some food, I don't need to be searching. Usually the fish eats only the garbage which is there in the pond, right? But it's happy to see a worm which is hung from the thing, but it doesn't know that it's going to die when it when it is caught in the hook, and it goes and it grabs. So that is the sense. It is because of the eyes. The sense here is about the eyes, right? Whatever we see. So the fish saw the worm, and it got caught in that hook, and it died, right? So that is an example of how our eyes are wandering to things that are material and things that it's going to give you happiness, but in the end you're going to be in suffering only. Next is the sense of hearing, right? A deer, a hunter, how he catches a deer is by playing a flute, right? So the deer, when it hears a flute, when he hears the music of the flute, immediately the deer runs towards him, but he doesn't know that the hunter is going to kill or catch him for selling it or for his meat, right? The deer doesn't know that, but it goes to the, so here is the sense of hearing is also, so we should always be hearing to Krishna Katha. We should always be hearing chanting, lectures. So this, what does it do? It will clear our consciousness, and it will purify our consciousness, and this will help us again to be at the lotus feet of the Lord, or do the services to the Lord. So that's for hearing. Another thing is, you must have heard about so sense of thought of eyes, nose. Yeah, nose is the bumblebee, right? The bumblebee, what does it do? It, because of the smell of the lotus, it starts coming, and to get the nectar from the lotus, it starts coming to the lotus, and it comes and sits in the lotus and starts drinking the honey in that, and it's intoxicated. So by the evening, the lotus closes its petals, and next day you see that the bumblebee is dead. So because of the taste, because of the smell of and the taste, right? Even the taste. So because of that, so always we have to see what we are eating. We are not supposed to eat any food that is not offered to the Lord, right? Every time, whatever you eat, even if you are not in a temple, or if you're not at home, if you're taking something, a minute you need to bring it to practice. That's what I'm saying, talking about practice. Bring it to practice that we have to offer it to the Lord before you eat it, so that it is sanctified, and all the bad conscience, because anybody could be cooking that food. Those people who are not devotees could cook the food. Even they say, even if a devotee cooks the food, and if it is not offered, that is also contaminates our consciousness. So whether it is devotee or non-devotee, it has to be offered to the Lord. So eating prasadam will again purify you. So this again helps you in controlling your mind. So there's so much of agitation when you eat different non-offered food. Whatever consciousness the other person had cooked in, it goes to you. They say that. So if that person has cooked it with anger, you could imbibe that in you. So that's why they say always offer the food to the Lord. That is one of the example of how the bumblebee was doing. So these are some examples of animals, and it's not only animals. We also see some sages and some brahmanas like Ajamal. Right? We all have heard about Ajamal. So he, by seeing prostitute, he lost all his Brahminical qualities and he fell down from his level of spirituality, right? How much he was devoted to the Lord, how much he was a devotee, he lost it by just because of seeing a person. The same thing with Saubhari Muni. Saubhari Muni, what did he see? Is he saw, he's a great sage. Like he used to meditate, and he used to be in Yamuna river, he used to meditate in the water, right? He was a great sage who was really devoted, but just by opening his eyes and he saw two fishes mating, immediately his desires went away and he said, okay, let me also get married and let me also enjoy what the fishes did. And he got married to 50 daughters of King Mandata, and he had to go into the Grahastha life. And then later he realized that, oh my God, what blunder I have done, that I lost all my level of spirituality I was in, right? And that is a person who, by the eyes, because the senses roamed about, and he lost his mind. So it's very difficult for us. So these are all some sages and Brahmanas who fell. So when those people are not able to control, what about us? We have this phone, right? Morning, we get up with this only. You think, okay, let's see what the time is. But no, you swipe it, and first thing you go is to WhatsApp. what messages? I know there's ISKCON messages too. No, I'm not watching ISKCON messages. Oh, my sister, she texted me something. Let me watch that. Like, that's what we are doing. But what we have to do is, we are listening to this, like repeatedly when we listen to this lecture, next time when we take this phone, yes, that Prabhu gave that lecture about this, so let me put it away. I always think of Pitambar Das Prabhu, because he always says that, Mother, I don't even open my phone in the morning. He starts chanting at 4:30 in the morning. He keeps his phone, doesn't touch his phone at all. So this is a lesson for us to learn that yes, when we are seeing the phone, WhatsApp, keep it away. We have to bring it to practice, right? This is a don't. So we have to see what the don'ts are. So this is a don't. Don't have a phone. Keep it away. So that practice we have to bring it. And slowly when we bring that to practice, automatically that detachment will come, right? So the first thing we have to do is practice, always practice. Watch your mind, see whether it is very favorable for Krishna. If it is not favorable, no, I should not do it. Should not do it, should not do it. Every time you have to be meditating on it, I should not do that. And then slowly it will go away from us. Right? By practice, you will get detachment from that. Same thing to do, this is, I said about Dasharatha and Ravana. Another example is from Mahabharata is Duryodhana and Yudhishthira, right? Duryodhana, again, he had no control at all. Right? He had no control. He just wanted the empire for himself. He didn't want to share anything to his brothers, though they were entitled to have just five villages. They just asked for 5 villages, but no, he wouldn't give that, right? He wanted everything for him. He had everything. He had all the opulences, but because his mind was not controlled, right? He was so greedy, right? He was so greedy that he didn't want to give anything to his cousins. Whereas Yudhishthira Maharaj, he had lost everything. He lost his kingdom. He lost his wife was disrobed in the main dayas. His kids were killed, right? He lost all his 5 sons. And then his brothers were poisoned. He went through so many things, but he was a person who had a controlled mind. So that is a practical, because why? Because he was a devotee of the Lord, right? Because he was a devotee of the Lord, right? He was able to, he did services to the Lord, so his mind was controlled, right? The minute you leave Krishna out of your life, it's very difficult to control our mind. So these are some of the example from the two epics. The other thing I wanted to talk about is so we again coming back to Abhyasena and Vairagena, that is the main two instruments to control our mind. So how now we need to see how we are going to control our mind. So what are the things you know will help you to control your mind? Some examples you can give. We have been listening to so many lectures. We have come to 6.36. So what are the things you think that will help you to control your mind? Sorry?
Engage your mind in Krishna conscious activities, where the Lord has given each person each talent. So utilize those talent in the service. For example, you are singing, you are a good singer. So you sing for the Lord. Yeah? So you are good in reading books. Read Krishna's books. So like that way we can convert our talents to service of the Lord.
Very good answer, Mataji. Yes. Each one of us, as Mataji said, is talented in some way or the other. Right? Some people are very good in cooking, right? So you can come and do service in the temple. You can. Sorry. So some people are, as I said, is very good in cooking. So you can help in the temple to help cook for the Lord and for the devotees, right? That's a seva you're doing. Again, I said mandir is a place which will help you to cleanse your mind. So doing services in the temple will help you to control your mind, in the sense you are doing services. So when you're doing a cooking service, you're thinking like, okay, I have to do what Krishna likes. Like, okay, he likes poha, so let me make poha today. Or yes, and he likes something sour, whatever. So you always think, that time whenever you're cooking, you are thinking of Krishna, right? So that is a good service where it will help you to get engaged, right? We have to be engaged in the services of Krishna. That is one. Another way is, again, the best way is chanting, right? Chanting is the best way to control our mind. I know it's very difficult, but again, practice, right? Practicing of chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, chanting. So this, we have to have a discipline in our life, right? We have to have more. So Krishna is saying, do your karma. What karma? Morning, get up early in the morning, chant your rounds, then do arti to the Lordship, and then cook for Krishna. So all these steps, you're doing it for Krishna, right? You're going to work. Think again. See what your mind is saying. Oh, my mind is saying, I'm going to go and earn for my family. I'm going to buy a iPhone, so I'm going to earn. No. Correct your mind and say, no, I'm going to earn to serve the devotees. I'm going to earn this money and I'm going to cook for the temple. So your mind, whenever it goes to think of the material desires, when your mind is going, you have to consciously practice that. No, I have to channelize that towards what Krishna would want. Oh, I'm going to earn for Krishna. I'm going to use this card for Krishna's service. I'm going to work, I'm going to the temple, I'm using this. This is not mine. First of all, we need to understand that nothing is ours. Everything is given by the Lord. So we have to be consciously, again, practice is something which is very hard, but we can do it. Practice it. Think what the mind is saying, is going to say, and then channelize it towards Krishna. That will help us to control our mind. So the two things is detachment and practice. These are the two things which will help us to control our mind. Do you have any questions? This is a very good example I wanted to talk about. In Ramayana, we are talking about 4 people, again, which is to do with mind and things. So, persistence is what we all need. Hanuman was persistent in going to Lanka to find where Sita was. So, even though he had so many obstacles while he was going from Setu to Lanka, he had so many obstacles. There were Sinhika and Lankini. A few demons came and stopped him from going there. But he was still persistent in going and finding out. Because what? Because he was doing service to the Lord, right? He was doing service to Rama, and he said, "What? I have to find Sita for Rama." So that's persistence. We need to have persistence. And then practicing is another example is Lakshmana. He was always at the service of Rama, right? Nothing was important to him. He even left his wife in Ayodhya and he went with Rama to be always at his service. So we practicing of doing services to the Lord is second thing. Third one is standing firm, right? That example is we should be always firm in doing services to the Lord. That is, we have to be we have to make sure that yes, I am going to be serving the Lord. That is my foremost duty, is that. And the fourth one is, once you do these 3 things, or immediately you get blessings from the Lord, and He will protect you at any time. If you do all these 3 things, He is always going to protect you. Because why? Because we are always at the service of the Lord. We are at His surrender. We are doing everything to please Him. So He loves us more when we serve Him. So again, practice and attachment is the main instruments for us to control our mind. It is very difficult, but again, we can do it. Hare Krishna, Babuji Samataji. I hope I made some sense. If you have any questions, please let me know.
I think everybody has understood. We are perfect.
Mataji, if you don't mind, I like to add one point.
Sure, Panta, go ahead.
The senses are always going to be active. So the senses, we have to give a proper activity for the senses. When we give proper activity for the senses, then sense and mind will become friendly and they will do the activities according to the favorable of Krishna consciousness. The person will get benefit by that.
Right, yes. Actually, you should never see or eat or taste anything that is not favorable to Krishna, right? All our senses are the ones which is driving the mind. So
In the
our
sense
senses
not
should be
In the sense, you have to give which is favorable of, in advancement in Krishna consciousness. Not to say don't see. Instead of you see the Lord's form. Like that, we have to convert the senses in the service of the Lord.
Wow. Thank you. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। हरे कृष्ण। प्रभुपाद की जय।